Coming up today on Issues in Education, it's back to school on the college campus. The FSU class of 2015 is one of the most academically accomplished freshman classes in the university's history. We look at what high school success means in the college admissions process and how it translates into achievement in higher education. Welcome to Issues in Education. I'm Suzanne Smith, alongside my co-host, the Florida State University President, Dr. Eric Barron. The FSU class of 2015 kicked off their freshman year the last week in August with a new student convocation ceremony that celebrated their past successes and challenged them to find inspiration in their futures. Here are some moments from that event.
I am President Eric Barron, and on behalf of all faculty, staff, and current FSU students, I welcome the class of 2015 to the new student convocation.
The three torches have been part of the university's seal and campus culture for over 100 years. Florida State uses the passing of these torches to the entering class as a symbol of new students' entry into a community where knowledge is gained, not only from learned faculty, but also through intellectual discourse among students. That tradition continues here today.
I'm pleased to present to you Ms. Rebecca Sloot.
Thank you so much for having me here. It's great to see all of you. It's great to see a lot of parents and community members here. So I speak at a lot of campuses, and here's what I hear over and over again from students. I don't know what to study, or I know exactly what I want to study, or I thought I was going to study this one thing, but then now I'm kind of interested in this other thing and I don't know what to do. I think that not having everything figured out is the best approach to college. I hope you'll all let your passion and your curiosity get the best of you while you're here. Sign up for classes that catch your eye. If you read something that fills you with questions, or if a teacher says something that grabs you, follow it. Don't accept simple answers like, I don't know. And never be afraid to ask hard questions. So I want to leave you with that and say thank you for having me today, and follow your curiosity and your passion, and good luck.
They are the class of 2015, but who are they exactly and how prepared are they for college? Joining us to give us the inside scoop is John Barnhill, Assistant Vice President for Enrollment Management at the Florida State University. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
So we have a great incoming class. What does that mean? What are the statistics about these students?
When people say it's great, they usually refer to their academic profile in terms of what kind of grades they've had in high school, their test performance, how engaged they are in high school. And when you look at those measures, this is really a top-notch class. GPA-wise, they have a 3.9 GPA from high school. Test score-wise, a 27 on the ACT, 850 range on the SAT. I mean, just a really talented group.
Now, these GPAs aren't based on easy classes. They, no basket weaving or anything like that. What kind of classes were these students taking in school?
The easy classes have actually been taken out. This is an academic grade point average, so right away it removes the simple ones, the ones that I made A's in, the PE classes and those kind of things. But in terms of the GPA itself, it's an academic grade point average, so that means your math, your science, history, social sciences, foreign language, the basic academic core college prep classes.
So that's what we mean when we say a weighted GPA. All of those classes that are non-academic have been removed. So we must have a lot of cases where someone says, my daughter got a 3.4 or 3.5 and I'm surprised she didn't get in, but her weighted GPA might be quite different.
In the state of Florida, there are so many different GPAs. There's a district GPA, a school GPA, a state GPA, and then an admissions GPA. And all of them use different criteria. Usually in the school setting, they count every course. They will sometimes use different weighting for that. And we're kind of standardized on the state admissions GPA, and we do use weighting. So people that take very difficult classes are rewarded for that. So for example, a dual enrollment class, international baccalaureate, advanced placement classes, an ACE program from the Cambridge people, those get a full quality point in addition to what's been earned.
That explains why they have such a high GPA of, would you say, 3.9 is what?
It does, because think about it, when you make a B in a class like that, you're getting an A's worth of credit, and so it will boost your GPA. But it's important to do that because those are the kind of classes that we want students to take, and so they have an incentive to challenge themselves harder in high school. And so that's the kind of the principle behind weighting that we employ and that almost all schools in the country do.
So if this is a great class, how does it compare to last year? How does it compare to 5 years ago?
Well, I've been here since 1978, and so when I say great, it really compares well to 1978. To last year, not quite so well, because it was a great class too. It was our best ever up until that point in time. Very similar GPA. What's a little bit better about this class is the overall test score performance is a little bit higher, and if you looked at it as all the students that we admit, the whole 6,000 plus students, more of them are clustered near that higher range than at the bottom, so the distribution's a little bit different. But it is, so far, even a little bit better than last year. A lot better than 5 years ago. We were still on that upward trajectory 5 years ago, and every year we tend to add maybe a tenth, 2 tenths to the GPA, and 10 to 20 points on SAT or ACT a point.
Are the students getting smarter, or are they getting smarter at how they succeed in the classroom and on tests?
Parents tell us they're getting smarter. They certainly, anecdotally, they think their children are getting smarter. I've been in the business a long time, and it's really hard to measure. We had really smart students back in the day as well, and in fact, most of the alumni I talk to think that they're not quite as smart as their children, and part of that's the advantages their children have had. So when you talk about the internet and all of the information that they have at their fingertips, they can get smarter on their own, and so these really bright, motivated students have the advantage of good schools, but also in their off time they can do their own thing, and that's why I think they're perhaps a little bit smarter than what we've had in the past.
And so what does this kind of caliber of student mean for the university in general?
I know I've had professors tell me that they have noticeably seen the improvement in their classroom, and what it means for them is more active students, more engaged students. They can actually do a better job communicating with them and teaching these students. And from all research that you look at, students that make good GPAs, that are good students, are engaged students. And so all of the extracurricular activities we have on campus, all the clubs, all the organizations, they have their future leaders right here, and these are the people that get involved and make the university a better place.
We often hear about students who, aren't ready for college and they have to take remedial classes once they get to college before they take the advanced classes. Right. Does having this high academic group of students, does that eliminate that problem, or does it create new problems?
Well, both. It does eliminate that problem because they are coming in at a higher level. In fact, most of these students will come in with college credit. So they've taken advantage of advanced accelerated mechanisms in high school. Dual enrollment, AP, I mentioned, those type of programs will actually give them college credit while in high school, and over 80% of them will bring in 12 or more credit hours. So a lot of them are skipping the need for remediation. But what happens, because they're coming in with so much credit, they have another set of problems. We have to make sure that we're ready for where they are when they get to the school. And that means a whole host of things for our university, and we've added those things over the years. I mean, we have, offices that we didn't have 5 and 6 years ago just for them. Things like the Office of National Fellowships that helps these great students come in and perform well here and prepare them for even greater things in the future.
One of the biggest complaints I hear from parents as I crisscross the state is it's too hard to get into FSU now. And so are we becoming, all across the nation they talk about whether college is too expensive for students to be able to get in, and it's limiting accessibility. And we're incredibly inexpensive, but here's this high academic bar being set. Are we becoming inaccessible just by virtue of the quality it takes to get in the door?
Access is something that we're very concerned about. In fact, this university's been concerned about it at least the whole time I've been here, and it's been ingrained in me, and something that we do worry about. But one of the great things about the state of Florida, and I was born and raised here, I think there's a lot of them. There's also some that aren't so great, but in terms of one of the great things about our school system is that there is a way for every student to get to a university. And originally that was called the community college system and a state system. It was kind of a 2+2 system. You could go 2 years to a community college and then 2 years to a university. That's morphed a little bit over the years, and many of those community colleges are now state colleges, but they offer a very limited number of 4-year degrees. And so the vast majority of those students can still get a 2-year degree and transfer to a university. So I tell parents all the time, if they have a student that bleeds garnet and gold and they have to graduate from Florida State, they can. Because if I deny them as a freshman, in fact, I even tell them it's not really a deny, it's a delay. Because you can still get here. Now you're going to have to work at it. You're going to have to go to another school, preferably a community college in our state, take 2 years worth of courses, do well in those courses, and then guess what? You can transfer to Florida State and get a Florida State University degree. So access is really limited at the freshman level, but ultimately everyone has access to the university.
So just out of curiosity, you know, there are a lot of schools out there that if Dad was an alum and Grandpa was an alum, you get your ticket punched whether you have that GPA or not.
You know, it is a situation, you've heard it referred to as legacy, a legacy admit, someone that just because someone in your family has been there, you get to go in basically based on their merit, not your own merit. We don't employ that kind of system here. We do love it when alumni children apply and enroll. And in fact, one of the nice things for me being here so long, I'm actually getting the children of the students I worked with when I first came here coming back. So the people I admitted, now I'm admitting their children, and they come back and go, John, you're still here.
But like, when you look out over the convocation and you see, you know, we had more than 5,000 students sitting there at convocation. Every single one of them deserved to be here.
Absolutely, absolutely. There's no doubt about that. And I think that, you know, in essence, it is a meritocracy. It is what you do in high school, how well you work, how much you achieve in high school is going to determine your admission. Now, within that, we still want to pay attention to a lot of different variables. You know, one of the ones that most people feel is very important, and we certainly do here, is first-generation status. There's lots of people that don't have parents who've gone to college, maybe not even brothers and sisters, so there's no role model there. So maybe there is a reason for people like that not to have quite as high a GPA or quite a highest test score. And in our admissions process, that's one of the things we look at to make sure that we're being fair to all students.
Well, while we're talking about the admissions process, what do you look for when a student is coming to FSU or wants to come to FSU? What do you look for?
Well, the most important thing that all colleges look at, and it's where we start, and that is what type of courses have you had in high school? We want students to challenge themselves in high school. We want them to take as challenging a curriculum as exists. You know, it's kind of easy to say we want everyone to take AP classes, but not every school offers AP classes. So it's within the context of the school that you go to. But within that context, we want them to challenge themselves. We're looking for the students who have taken a hard curriculum. Now, when you break it down from there, you're looking at the students that also do well on a challenging curriculum. So someone that makes A's in an AP curriculum is going to be a little bit more probably marketable in terms of admissions than someone who makes a C in those kind of courses. But the bottom line is everyone who takes a challenging curriculum in high school is preparing themselves better for college, whether it's at FSU or whether it's anywhere else. But to answer your question directly, most important thing by far are the grades and the courses that they've taken.
Now, do you believe that that being accomplished academically in high school will set them up to succeed in college?
It's the best measure we have to do that. Sadly, some students lose their way when they get to college. There's a lot of structure in high school, a lot of parental intervention in high school. They have a lot more freedom and flexibility in college. If they remember their structure, if they remember what made them successful in high school, they will be successful at the university. But every year we admit students that on paper look fantastic and for some reason don't perform at the university level. And when we look at that group, it's people that have forgotten their way. You know, they're not going to class. You know, they're not keeping up with their assignments. And so they basically lost their direction. And I think that as long as you've taken a good college preparatory high school curriculum and you've made good grades and you remember how you made those good grades in college, you will be fine.
This year's freshman class had 6,100 students enrolled. How many students apply each year?
Quite a few. It gets more and more. I don't know if it's the economic climate of the state that makes more people stay in state and apply, but we're also seeing increases in out-of-state applications. So I think it's something to do with our popularity. I think we're actually getting more popular. And this year we had over 30,000, so close to 33,000 students applied for the freshman class. And so that's quite a few applicants, quite a few files to review, quite a few things to get through, but that seems to be a trend. Every year we're adding about 2,000 or 3,000 applications to our pool.
And you admit them for fall and for spring and some for summer. How does that work?
You know, that's getting back to that access issue. If we could only take students in one term, say the fall term, I wouldn't have all the courses that they need for a large class. And so I'm probably limited to about right around 4,000 is all that will fit in the fall, and that's about as big as we can get. And so we really stumbled upon this idea over the years of, well, why don't we start freshmen in different terms, then you can bring in more students. In the summer, we can accommodate about 2,000 to 2,400 students, and so we've done that. The demand is still there. We're still trying to increase access, and so now we've hit upon the spring term. It's another term that we can bring in freshmen. About 200 students for the last couple of years have been offered a start in the spring term, and it all has to do with the availability of classes and what we can handle at any one given time, but it has increased access using all 3 terms.
This is actually the time of year when high school seniors are getting their hopefully getting their applications ready for college. Yeah. How does the application process work? Do they have a specific deadline, or who makes the decisions on who's accepted?
Yeah, it does have a specific deadline, first of all. In fact, we have 2 of them. One, if you want to hear your decision before Christmas, you have to apply in October. So by October 17th, you have to have your application in, and then we notify everyone who has a completed application in by that time. We notify them December 14th, so you actually can get a decision as a Christmas present, hopefully. Maybe not for some, but in terms of finding out early, that's a good thing to do. So we encourage everyone to apply by this first deadline. The second deadline occurs in January. So January 18th is the absolute last time that a freshman can apply to the university. They will get their decisions on March 14th. And so in terms of the process, we look at everyone who's applied by those deadlines, kind of bring them all together, and then we make actually one of 3 decisions. We either accept them, deny them, or what I would call a delay them, but deny them. And then the last category is a defer, which we say at that point in time, we're not ready to make a decision. When you think about it, people apply in their senior year. I don't have their senior year grades. Some students are so close that we want to see their senior year grades. And so we get their first semester senior year grades sent to us, and then we make their decision in March as well. So someone that applies early, we may say, let's hold off a little bit. We want to give you a decision after we've seen what you've done in your senior year.
And you said this word delay, and so here's someone, their entire life they've wanted to go to FSU, and they don't quite make it. What are the options?
You know, those hurt the most, quite honestly, and if you throw in the fact that their parents may have gone here too, and it's a family tradition, it's really hard to turn away people that love the university so much, but we do. And what makes it bearable for me is that I am able to work out a plan for every student that wants to be here. And that plan typically involves transferring to us. And so that may be transferring after a year, it may be transferring after 2 years, but in essence, every student that wants to be here can be here. And we're talking even about the student that barely graduated from high school. If for some reason that light switch didn't flip on and they just kind of coasted through high school, and then all of a sudden, we can say to them, if your goal is to graduate from Florida State, here's your plan. You can go to your local community college. You can come up here to Tallahassee Community College. We have a great relationship with them, and many students will do that. Finish your 2-year degree, and then transfer to Florida State to finish your 4-year degree. And it really is a good plan, a good option for them, and many of our students will take us up on that.
What can seniors do right now if they're looking at applying to FSU or other colleges? What can they do right now?
You know, actually, I would say seniors can't do much right now. They have to finish up their senior year strong. You know, obviously, that first semester is still something that a lot of admissions offices will be concerned with. And in fact, once you're admitted, we're concerned about your performance at the end. So never slack off. Don't get senioritis or anything like that. But the true audience here are juniors. Because juniors, that year is almost critical. It's your last year of what we're looking at when you apply to us as seniors. And so your best work should occur in your junior year. That will kind of set the tone for everyone that's reviewing your file.
That's a very good point. Where can they learn more about the FSU admissions process? Well,
that's easy. Obviously, they can just go online. That's how most students these days find out about anything, and we're no exception. You can go to the main FSU-EDU website, or our specific website is admissions.fsu.edu.
Thank you very much. We've been talking with John Barnhill about the FSU class of 2015. If you'd like more information about the admissions process, again, you can go to admissions.fsu.edu. When we come back, Dr. Barron and I will talk one-on-one about more issues in education. Welcome back to Issues in Education. I'm Suzanne Smith, talking with Dr. Eric Barron, the president of the Florida State University. Dr. Barron, we've been talking about the freshman class of 2015. What do you think of this year's new crop of students?
Well, you know, it's a wonderful statement about what a great institution this is and the recognition that you can get a very fine education here. It's also a statement about what the academic environment is going to be like for a whole group of young people that are going to meet great professors and discover that they're here with very bright people who are engaged and they're going to go do great things.
The convocation ceremony at the beginning of the year has gotten some pretty good reviews. What did you think of it and the guest speaker, Rebecca Skloot?
It is the best convocation that I have ever seen at any other university, and I've been at a few. And I don't want to sound like I'm just bragging, but it has a component of history and ceremony as you basically pass the three torches forward from alumni, current students, and on to future students based on their essays. So that part is great. And we also have this fun part that everybody's wearing a t-shirt that signifies what college and what major it is that they're involved in, and everybody in that room was given a copy of Rebecca Skloot's book so that everybody could read it. So you got two things there right off the bat where a big university feels a lot smaller. I have a book in common with you, and it's a very thoughtful, engaging book. And you're wearing a College of Music t-shirt, and I'm wearing a College of Music t-shirt, and all of a sudden this big university feels quite a bit smaller. So it was fun, and it also had ceremony. And
Rebecca Skloot wrote the book, The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks, and what did you think of her speech?
Her speech was very good. She certainly was telling people what she was like as a student, and what it takes sometimes to accomplish something as profound as that book. She got it in a class as a simple line at the end of a lecture, and she went, "What is that?" Came back to it many years later and took 10 years of persistence to write that book. And it's a gifted contribution.
One of the things you've been dealing with this past summer was the Board of Governors' idea to regionalize the university system. Why is it so important for FSU to keep its statewide mission?
Yeah, okay, well, you know, we've always had a statewide mission, and as a consequence of that mission, our students come from everywhere, and our students go everywhere in the state. And if you are going to incentivize jobs and economics, you shouldn't be thinking about a region. You should be thinking about the state as a whole and even the nation. And the higher that you have, you're held in regard for your ability to deliver those, the more you're going to keep very bright students in the state of Florida.
Now, the Board of Governors had changed their plan a little bit since then. Where does it stand now, and what's going to happen next?
Okay, well, the regions they created came from a notion that we should incentivize the economics in our local region. Of course we should. But they drew boundaries for every university and then said, in order to operate in other areas, you should ask permission from the president in that particular area. Well, if you have presidents in your area, you ask them before you do anything. So now just sort of imagine that here's a Florida State University with medical schools all over the place. A Digital Domain, a premier film company, wants to operate in West Palm Beach, create all these jobs, and picked FSU as their partner. Or we're going to change something on our own campus, and I'm sitting there saying, okay, I need to ask FAMU, I need to ask West Florida, I know I'm going to create this in this area, I better ask that president. And all of a sudden, you're making the universities less nimble and less competitive because they have zones that they're supposed to operate in. So that didn't make sense to me. It didn't make sense on an economic side. It didn't make, you know, I would rather compete with everybody. People say, well, you know, this university, shouldn't you worry about them? No, I'm ready to compete with any university. And if we're not good at competing, we shouldn't win.
FSU researchers recently received news that they would receive $20 million in research funds to study the Deepwater Horizon oil spill. How is that going to work, and what does it mean to the university?
Okay, so this is exactly follows whether you thought about it or not, this competitiveness, because this was the biggest proposal awarded, $20 million in the funds that were given out. And this is for a team that FSU leads. And in addition to that, FSU has partnered with a lot of other people on other proposals. So the independent review boards are saying that this group of scientists at FSU are the most talented group, one of the most talented groups to investigate all the characteristics of that oil spill, including what happens so that we can do a better job of predicting something like that in the future if we have the unfortunate circumstance that occurs.
A few months ago, you became a new grandfather. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about this new addition to your family.
Okay, well, she's now 6 months old. She's growing like crazy. She's very happy.
Getting ready for football season?
I don't know whether she's ready for the football season. I mean, she's already busily looking at every book grandmother passes her direction.
And what's her name?
She's Alice, and she's wearing her FSU garb at different times. She's a very happy child, much to my chagrin. She loves sweet potatoes. I'm not a fan, but she just took to them just like that. So
have you already bought her? She bought her the FSU baby gear?
No doubt about it, and each time she grows out of it, we buy a little more.
That's wonderful. Thank you, President Barron.
My pleasure.
That's our time for now. Please join us again next month for more Issues in Education. You can watch the premiere episode of Issues in Education the first Wednesday of every month at 7:30 p.m. That means you can see the next new episode on Wednesday, October 5th on WFSU-TV. Join us as we discuss the latest developments in higher education happening around the state and across the country. If you have questions that you would like us to address on this program, you can email us at issues@wfsu.org. Again, that's issues@wfsu.org. If you would like to see past episodes of Issues in Education, head to the President's website at president.fsu.edu. I'm Suzanne Smith with the Florida State University President, Dr. Eric Barron, for Issues in Education. We'll see you next time.